Greetings and welcome back. Anybody remembers the Flintstones? Good, because I sure do.
Growing up, I really didn't have much in television to look at, but one thing I could always count on was the endless amounts of the Flintstones reruns.
So of course they decided after rerun number 250 that the Flintstones needed a live-action movie. More than 40 years after its original release on television. Man. Well, better late than never, I guess. This is the Flintstones.
Well, we see this guy who's Cliff Vandercave, played by Kyle MacLachlan. He is an executive with a tie in a 90s movie, so of course he is a villain. He's apparently scheming something about getting money out of the company in such a way it can't be tracked back to himself.
You know what most executives would call Monday morning.
He is not alone in this, since his secretary Miss Stone, played by Hale Berry.
Oh my, she's in the movie. Whew. Is it me or is it getting hot in here, or is it just because she's in a way smaller outfit than she was in Catwoman? Okay, that one was pretty skimpy, wasn't it? Anyway, let's just move on before I'm making a complete fool of myself, like howling like those old cartoon wolves.
This small scene, which it is in fact, is quickly followed by the original theme song 95 of course, and a live action remake of the original opening sequence, where we of course is taken to the drive-in cinema where we are about to see the Tar Wars.
Well, the first Stone Age pun drop is found, so what is Tar Wars anyway? Let's just think for a moment. Either it's two cavemen trapped in a tar pit bashing each other in the head with massive clubs, or it's a Stone Age-like version of Star Wars. Either way, it could be interesting. Oh, ha ha, Universal made this movie? Well, I actually do like Universal movies, so I guess that's okay. It's not like it was directed by Steven Spielberg.
God damn it!
Okay, an Universal movie made by Steven Spielberg. Already I'm getting Back to the Future vibes from this, and that's probably going to disappoint me even more.
Anyway, the movie finally begins, and we see Fred Flintstone, played by John Goodman, who also starred in...
one of the worst abominations ever created on this planet. Well, we're off to a good start, aren't we? Okay, to be fair to the guy, he did play Santa Claus in SpongeBob SquarePants. That has to count for something.
Fred is accompanied by his neighbor and pal Barney Rubbles, played by Rick Moranis, mostly known for his role in the Ghostbusters universe, as well as Honey, I Shrunk Our Kids.
And I just have to say straight out that the actors they picked could be qualified as looking like the source material. Well, as much as you now can.
Well, they are talking about this and that.
We would have never qualified to adopt had it not been for the money you gave us.
Now remember, Barn, that's between you and me.
It seems that both Barney and Fred are having some fun on their way home until Wilma, played by Elizabeth Perkins, confronts Fred about some missing money in the bank account.
But when I went to take money out of our savings account, guess what?
Money Fred of course borrowed Barney so they could adopt a kid. Wilma isn't mad though, oddly enough.
What you have just done for the Rebels is the sweetest, most generous thing I ever heard.
Well, it is a good and unselfish thing he did, but still, shouldn't he at least confront his wife with stuff like this? Or what about Betty? Wouldn't she have told Wilma about this when she actually got the money from Fred? Well, never mind, let's just move on.
Before we move on, Pebbles Flintstone is played by both Melanie and Elaine Silver.
Since I guess the Full House was really popular with the writers.
Well, anyway, we then cut through the rejected McDonald playground props.
Seriously, anybody remembers the McDonald's toys from this movie? I sure do, and I was only 3 years old.
Never mind, we are now at the adoption agency and we are introduced for the first time to Betty, played by Rosie O'Donnell.
Now wait a minute, this isn't the best cast role now, is it? Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Rosie O'Donnell at all, but couldn't they at least have found an actor that looks slightly more like the original Betty? I mean, the rest of the cast, I can see who they're supposed to be, but Rosie, she just looks like a mother dressing up as Betty for Halloween.
Well, they make the good old mistaking monkey for a kid joke, and we are finally introduced to Bam Bam, played by both Linus Sigurdsson and Marino Sigurdsson.
So more Full House 2 characters run roles shit. Seriously, did they introduce this in 1993 and the creators of the Flintstones said, "Oh my god, they have 2 kids for the same role! Oh my god, we have to do that! That is amazing!"
Anyway, we then cut to the bowling alley and Barney's reading out loud a poem he made.
Since I was just a lad of 10, I've had the very bestest friend.
While Fred is crying up quite the storm of tears. Moving on, Flintstones then do a strike like he always does and returns home to find out that the mother-in-law is on a visit.
Look at him. Drunk as a skunkosaurus.
Yeah, the Flintstones were made in the 50s, remember? Mother-in-law jokes has to be in there somewhere.
She's played by Elizabeth Taylor.
And you probably know the drill. Why are you such a deadbeat? My daughter should have married that cute rich guy and yada 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 yada.
We then cut to the quarry where both Barney and Fred work together and they are having a test to see who is going to be the new chief executive of some sort of branch. This although is a scheme thought out by the dastardly Cliff Vandercave. So we see the test unfold and Fred more or less struggling with it.
Seriously, who draws tic-tac-toe on your answering paper? Sure, I did a lot of drawings on mine, but not the actual test that counted, gee.
But as the good friend Barney is remembering that poem he made at the bowling alley, he decides to swap the test so that Fred would get his.
Great, so Flintstone went from 0% correct to 1% correct. I don't think it's that uncommonly known that Fred and Barney kinda follows the Laurel and Hardy concept. Both are complete idiots in their own way, but one doesn't believe so, that in fact being the dumbest one, while the smart one is too dumb to realize he's actually smarter.
That's the first mistake we've made since that guy sold us the Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh, buying that bridge was no mistake. That's gonna be worth a lot of money to us someday.
Well, the tests are in quite quickly, as in the next scene where our Hail Berry states that Fred Flintstone was the smartest guy among them.
Test results are in.
And our unsuspecting dupe is?
Believe it or not, the one who scored the highest was Fred Flintstone.
That big ape?
So apparently they do not follow the Laurel and Hardy concept, since apparently Barney Rubbles is a genius. Well, here is the one thing so many people so often overlook. It was a scammed test.
Yeah, no shit, neither Barney nor Fred was the smartest guy in the quarry, although they actually did hire Neanderthals and freaking orangutans. But the test was to figure out who was the easiest to manipulate and find someone who wouldn't ask questions when asked to do something.
And honestly, no one in the Flintstones universe matches this description better than Barney Rubbles. Always being dragged around by Fred, never getting to ask any questions, and when he finally does, he's just told to do what he's told to. So yeah, this plot makes sense.
So you can all hate me for finding something that actually makes sense in this movie, but we're moving on. Fred is baffled by his new position so much that he's just stating the obvious at this point.
This is my office?
That's right.
This is my chair?
Look, somebody already made this joke, so I'm not bothering doing so. But I have to say, she should enter rooms with that music some more often.
So Fred is also baffled by his new dick bird.
Dick a what?
Dictabird.
Oh, I'm sorry, his Dictabird. Played by Harvey Korman.
They then end up in some shenanigans like the bird not appreciating Fred and vice versa. While they bicker back and forth, Stone and Cliff plots even further with fake documents and of course Fred's first order of business.
Good. I want you to fire Bernard Rubble.
Done! What? Fire Barney? Why?
Wow, that is a bummer indeed. And it also kinda brings that whole scam test into question, because this actually shows that Fred Flintstone is in fact the least manipulative person in the quarry. Either that or he's an idiot. Who knows?
Well, stuff only gets worse when Barney decides to throw a party for Fred and even give him a nice suitcase.
It's probably an asset from Willy Wonka, which they wouldn't even dare to use.
Oh, and also being rich and in power makes Fred's mother-in-law accept him.
There's my big, handsome son-in-law.
Who would have thought? Seriously, it is a 90s movie, for crying out loud. One mother-in-law trope is more than enough.
Well, the bomb landed and Fred leaves the party while the mother-in-law, presumably drunk, decides to conga.
Conga line.
Well, Fred and Barney tugs it out and Barney takes it pretty easy.
Maybe I'll take you in that franchise show this weekend.
That's the spirit.
How come they're canning me?
the lowest score, pal.
Well, this is the face of someone realizing how big of a buffoon they've been. But then again, we would have had it the other way if he didn't switch the test, so it would have evened itself out. After that scene, we then cut to...
apparently a better movie in the form of a playground. Yeah, we know you're proud of that movie, Steven, but really, is this the movie you want to show that in? Actually, thinking about it, maybe it is, yeah. Steven Spielberg wanted to make sure that we knew he could make good movies, so we wouldn't hate him for this one.
Well, as time goes on, Fred and Wilma turns more snob and douchey, to be honest, having the rich man's life now.
You know, Barney, life's funny. One minute people are your best friends, and the next you're fantasizing they're being ripped apart by a pack of rabid wolves.
Well, actually, just before that, we have the movie's first and hopefully only poop joke.
Well, that happened. Aren't you glad that they can turn shit into entertainment? Honestly, I'm pretty sure that Steven Spielberg tried to stop this scene, stating it was too dumb for anyone to find funny. But they just told him that sex sells to grown men and teenagers, and poop jokes sell to kids, so he should just shut up and direct the damn thing.
Meanwhile, Fred is at the office. He's getting more and more suspicious about what it is he is signing for,
what was I saying again? Something about a race, I believe? Huh. Weird, isn't it?
Well, never mind that. We have the ever so famous cliche of the wife walking in and misunderstanding the situation.
Okay, they forgot that part, so it is actually cliche number 43,249-B, Sector Delta. Okay. Wife comes in to find husband and secretary about to do inappropriate stuff not suitable for children to watch, and she just accepts it. Wow, I'm actually surprised they go so much into depth with these cliches. Quite stunning, really.
Well, we then cut to the Flintstones barbecue where we again see Fred as an asshole.
Hey, Barn, you like your steak rare?
Yeah.
That one's yours.
Hey! Hey, stop!
Yeah, that happened. Honestly, this is something you could have seen in the original show had they had the budget to animate it, of course.
Well, again, we cut to the office where Fred is suspicious about Cliff's idea of the new steam-powered automated housing system.
It's rather weird.
Apparently, Cliff wants to shut up Fred by playing his best card.
If Mr. Flintstone insists on being so conscientious, perhaps we can give Fred something to take his mind off work.
A bonus?
Okay, not what anyone would have expected, but I have to admit, sadly enough, that it is sort of funny. Not joke of the year funny, not do you like fish sticks funny, but sorta like, oh yeah, I didn't see that coming, so you'll get a chuckle out of me funny.
It seems like Fred and Wilma are truly living the life now. They even help out their friends in their time of need by making them stay at their house doing the chores.
What a nice family.
Anyway, it seems like Barney is doing his best to getting new jobs, ranging from test dummy all the way to a waiter in a fancy restaurant.
You're a busboy?
It's honest work.
For crying out loud, how much money did they make at that quarry? More than a waiter at a restaurant, or for that matter, a test dummy? No wonder he's pissed.
Believe it or not, Fred actually signed some pink slips for the rest of the workers, or maybe it's more like pink slates? Well, whatever you call them, apparently Fred Flintstone doesn't know what that is, thinking it's only some much needed vacation time.
Well, you sign these and all your good buddies down in the quarry get some much needed time off.
And as you might have guessed, people formerly working at the quarry is rather furious about this.
And finally, about 3/4 in the movie, Fred is finally going through the papers he so willingly signed before.
They made a fool out of me.
Well, look what they had to work with.
But as you probably might have guessed, it is too late.
You're too slow.
Cliff is already on his way to frame Fred on everything. Well, Fred Flintstone escapes the police after having quite a fight with Wilma and the rebels. Everything is, so to speak, going to shit.
Petrified shit, that is.
It does look like shit.
So apparently Wilma and Betty, who would have guessed, figures out that Fred's Dick-the-Bird might have picked something up, and they decide to retrieve it.
That's rather odd, since all they had done up until this point is just point and giggle.
Well, Cliff, who's also ditching Miss Stone since he never had any intention of keeping her since he was only using her.
How come there's only one ticket to Acapulco?
Say it with me, people, once again. 90s movie tie people equals villain. Seriously, I usually wear a tie. Does that make me a villain?
Well, anyway, it seems that Fred is recognized and is about to be hanged by the gallows.
Before they hung him from the gallows.
But wouldn't you know it, Barney comes in to save the day.
Anybody want a snow cone?
Or to sell ice cream. Seriously, with this many jobs, how can the quarry still yield more? I just don't get it.
Well, we have a stupid reveal scene of that it was in fact Barney who put Fred in the position and, well, they decide to hang them both.
Oh, happy days, there are no chances of a sequel. Well, actually, to be completely honest, Bam Bam and Pebbles got their own show once, so they'll go that extra mile to make it happen.
Wilma and Betty comes in, tells everybody about the Dictator Bird, and we then cut to the next scene without even hearing anything the Dictator Bird have to say.
Well, I guess that just isn't important.
Well, to round it up, since we've spent a lot of time on this already, Cliff kidnaps Bam Bam and Pebbles.
If you want to see your kids again, bring the Dictabird to the quarry at dawn. No police.
Well, maybe we won't be getting that sequel after all. What, are they going to make a prequel of how they met in Rock Vegas? Yeah, right. And they're probably going to put that green alien in it that Hanna-Barbera so proud of. Yeah, that will be the day.
Anyway, they get to the now fully steam-operated quarry.
Well, it had to happen one day. Now steam controls the Flintstones. I just wonder if they're going to pay huge amount of money for timed exclusives like their supposed competitors. Only time will tell.
The kids are stationed in one of the rock wagons and is about to be squashed.
Whoa there, twin. Why did you first decide to scream when the camera was on you? You know, you could have screamed as soon as you saw your dad. But no, we got a little diva who's also a camera hawk.
They manages to beat Cliff with the help of Miss Stone, where we get this stupid secretary is evil only to turn good reply from Fred.
Will there be anything else, Mr. Flintstone?
No, Miss Stone. Take the rest of the day off.
Cliff is killed by concrete and Stone is sent to jail.
Which, sadly, visiting times has been over for about a few million years now.
Anyway, we also get how concrete came to be called that.
I'm gonna name it after my daughter, Concretia.
And that's the end of the movie.
First of all, the movie isn't anything special. There is a lot of dumb jokes in here and a lot of them are more than outdated. And that might be the biggest problem with the movie. Imagine if this got released in 1966 or before that. People would have loved it. It just screams 60s cheese, and honestly, if they had done that, the movie might have been slightly better. But it was as late as 94. We got movies like Wayne's World, Terminator, and even Batman by Tim Burton. Flintstones just doesn't seem to fit in here, does it? The actors does a decent job, I guess, but the lines and the jokes, they're just outdated as mentioned before, and I believe you can actually see the actors really struggling to make these lines work. The overall story is actually rather bland and done 1,000 times just in the 90s alone. They don't add anything new to this concept apart from the Flintstones is in it. There is literally nothing to make the movie stand out at all. It's a real shame. Steven Spielberg made this, and that might give me some rosy red glasses since I just love almost any movie he's directed. But even I can see that this isn't anything special, but on the other hand, I wouldn't call it a piece of garbage. I would say it actually feels like Flintstones in many ways. The special effects are nothing special, the animatronics are rather dull and uninteresting, and seriously, for whatever little CG they use, Double Dragon had more impressive effects. It's just not that great a movie.
Now should you see the movie? No, I would recommend buying the original series of Flintstones instead, if you at all want to. I'm the Angrynator terminating bad movies for your entertainment.
Steak and eggs for everybody. My treat.